Hi there, it's Zephyr here. I'm here with another video. Today we're gonna go through again something fairly simple again today, but I'm gonna do a bit of a twist at the end. So make your own loot boxes. I was deliberate with the title there. So I'm gonna first of all just show you how to make a chest. I'll be honest, if I showed you this part, it would have been a 30-second video, but when you're in the event view, so if you've not seen my other videos, I would recommend actually watching them first before going into this one, so you know how the views kind of work. But then we have the mapping view and event view. So I want to right click anywhere on this, and you might have noticed in a previous video, in my transfers video actually, you'll see the treasure right next to the quick event creation button. So we can click that. We can make a treasure chest here. It'll let you select an image out of the default images if you want to. You can also select your own, which I've made my own chests. And again, in a future video, I'll show you how to obviously create your own chest graphics as well. But yeah, you got some custom chests here. You can set the gold count, so you can set 100 gold. You could set an item, you could set a weapon, you could set armor. I think for this example, we're going to set an item. So for this one, we'll give you a potion, and we'll hit OK. So if you right-click on the event that you just created, so this event is going to work in Engine no matter what. But if you open this event, you're going to see a couple of things here. How the event is constructed. So on this event here, you'll see that it plays a sound effect. Obviously, you can customize that with your own. If it were me, I would probably put a slightly different sound there. I might want to actually delete it and maybe put an ME there instead. I don't know. But that's just an example there. If I just go back into this, refresh this, you can see that it does a move event. So what it's going to do with that little move event there is that it's just turning off the direction fix property of that event, and it is just you see this little animation that it's got here. It's playing that animation, so it's turning left, and then it's turning right. But yeah, that is that little bit there. So it shows you the chest gradually opening there. And then there's that one. Then self-switch on A. So this is just like a streamlining switch, as I said before. I taught you quite early on how to, on my video that I released on the 27th, there was a video about switches. We went into switches very briefly, and then we also talked about self-switches. And self-switches, as I said, are very efficient. If you're copying and pasting, a self-switch is going to retain. So you can actually copy and paste this event, and you can put it everywhere. And obviously here, you can see the contents we've added through that auto event creation. So that is very simply how you would do a treasure chest event there. However, I want to teach you good habits early on. So play around with this, test the game. You'll find that this chest works just fine. But I want to teach you some good habits really early on. So here's how we're going to make a chest. And I want to teach you this because I made this mistake when I first made my own game. So I don't know if you've seen in my transfer video, but I talked about how I started using common events for treasure chests. And this is where the loot box thing comes in. So, right. You see where we're using a common event, and we're just using a self-switch there. So we're just using a common event and a self-switch. And then for the chest open, we've got another common event there. So let's go back onto the common event topic again. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, I'll just go over it again very briefly. It's a really easy thing to remember. But if you want to access common events, they are available by hitting F9 on your keyboard. F8 if it's one of the old RPG makers. But you hit F9 on your keyboard primarily. If you're on console, it'll be whatever button opens the database. And then I want to find, and if you haven't, well, obviously you're not going to have this yet, but this is something I've created. So common event number 159, you can set this as common event 1 if you want. I have, I've done a common event called loot, generic item. This is where the loot box part comes in. So the whole reason why we're doing this as a common event is because every time we copy and paste the chest, so say we copy the chest, we want to put another one here. We want to put another one here. They're not going to work in front of the door like that, but just say you want to copy and paste them in a lot of places. Imagine if you were playtesting and you found a problem with that chest. And then you realized you'd done all these copy and pastes and you had to go back and edit every single chest. So imagine you have to go in here, you have to edit the text, you have to go in here, edit the text on this. With this, I'm about to save you a ton of time, and you'll realize it as you're doing it. So do the chest event as a common event. I promise you it will make your life so much easier. So there is an extra thing to this. I'm actually going to copy and paste this event and simplify it a little bit, because the way I've done it a little bit more in a more complicated way. So let's do it in a slightly different way, because the way I've done it in this example is a little bit more complicated. So let's just start from scratch. So if you want to make a loot box, so when I say loot box, it is a chest and the contents are random. If you don't want the contents to be random, then obviously you can just have a static item here. Like you could have gold or whatever. But, so yeah, you could just put gold there. Just say player has received gold. That's kind of it. However, if you want to go a bit further than that, here's what you do. So you might see this movement route here and you're like, okay, why is Zephyr using this movement route? So this is a Visual Stellar script. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is Visual Stellar events move call. So it is a script called screen lock. And it is not something that you need to do or worry about, but if you have an image with this kind of layout, it will basically allow you to select each individual part of this frame. So normally, RPG Maker MV or MZ will only let you select the middle frames. It's a little bit annoying because XP would let you select all of them, so you have to use a plugin now to select all of these. But basically, the screen lock lets me hit all 6 of these individual frames. So that is why I use the screen lock. You don't have to use that. Just do a direction move route. But again, you do the direction fix off, direction fix on. I've done the sound, so we play an ME. That's the sound I made in a software called I forget the name of the program now, but I'll edit it in. But right, so we've done that. Now, if we want to make a loot box, let's say we set the gold to be random, or maybe we want to give a random item. You see those gacha games. Here's a really simple way to do it. So what you want to do, you want to make a variable. We remember how we did variables last time. Create a variable anywhere. I'm going to put it under loot. We'll call it loot. We'll call it gacha. Okay. Right, so we've done that. Now, to randomize the contents of that box, what we want to do is we want to randomize the variable. So we're randomizing the roll. We're going to calculate the roll before the chest brings you the loot. So how many outcomes do we want? Now, if you wanted to, you could have 100 outcomes. That's fine. I'm going to do, for this example, I'm just going to do 3 outcomes. So we're going to roll a random number. It's going to be between 1 to 3. So we're going to pick 3 out of 3 items from the pool. So we're going to do a random item from the pool. We roll a number. This is us essentially rolling a dice with 3 sides on it. And whatever number we get, we do a conditional branch. So our first conditional branch would be selecting a variable, selecting loot gacha, and setting that constant to 1. Our second one, we just put below here. We set the constant to 2. Again here, loot again, set constant to 3. There might be a better way of doing this, but this is one way that you can do it. So pretty much how I would choose to do it. And then what we do is we go, if loot gacha, well then we need to bring the item in. So let's bring the item in. So let's say if you roll a 1, you get let's see, you get a potion. If you get loot 2, you get, let's say, I don't know, you get an antidote. You get loot 3, you get the roll 3 on the dice. We'll give you a short sword. Why not? Okay, so we've rolled the thing. We've got the loot. That's essentially the first part there. There is something else you can do. And this is something, again, that can be done with a plugin. So if you want to, you can streamline the message and use a plugin to do that. With this particular plugin here, again, I'm just going to make a note post video what this plugin is. But this is one I particularly use just to streamline it. And what I would do is I would actually just add the message at the end. So I would call this common event. There we go. So just making sure we've got the right event selected. Right, so the right event is this one. Had the wrong one for a little bit there. So if we run this, it should work just fine. Yeah, this is how you create a loot box. 1 antidote. And you can implement this in a multitude of ways, so go at it. Obviously, sometimes a player might not like a chest opening just once and that's it. So maybe you want to replenish the chests, I don't know. Or maybe you want them available somewhere. But either way, that's just an example of it running. That's pretty much it to chests today. And yeah, pretty interesting, I hope. Have a good one. Hi there, I just wanted to add something real quick just to the end of this video here, and it's really just regarding the little treasure chests that I used in the video. So they were some little animated chests that I made in Asebrite, and for all those cool kids who have just made it into the all the way to the end of the video, I'm just going to let you know that in the more info section, right at the bottom, tucked away, there's going to be a link to the itch.io page where you can just download these treasure chests graphics for free. They may need a little bit of configuration if you don't use the Visusteller or the Yanfly plugins there. But that's really the only thing to it. Also, of course, they'll only work in RPG Maker MV or MZ. They're not going to work in RPG Maker VX, or they would actually work in XP, but they wouldn't be appropriate for the tile sizes in that engine. But that's pretty much it. That's all I wanted to say. Little treat for you all, and hopefully I see you next Friday.